Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to cook one of the very popular Portuguese dishes. This is known as Caldeirada. Caldeirada is a Portuguese dish that consists mainly on cooking three kinds of fish in a pot, in a sauce that's mainly composed of tomato, white wine, garlic and onions. Coriander can be added on the side. What we are going to do today is we're going to cook codfish, salmon and some shrimp in the same pot in that sauce. And I'm going to let you know how I do my own caldeirada. Let's start. So what do we do now? We turn the heat on up to, let's say, about 4 or 5, because we don't want to burn our onions or our garlics. Here's some olive oil, so put on 5, and then we need to add our ingredients. But first we need to add just a little bit of olive oil. And this should be enough for the onions and the garlic. And what we want to do, we want to get the garlic and the onion slightly cooked in olive oil. So that means that what we want to achieve is that the onions get a bit transparent and the garlic start to get a very light golden brown color, but not burnt. What helps also is to stir a bit. The reason why we do this is to enhance the flavor of the garlic and the onions. As we can see, the onions and the garlic are now having the right color that we want, and the flavor has already spread throughout the olive oil. Because now what we need to do is to cut all of these tomatoes, because instead of using tomato paste, we are going to make our own tomato sauce. That is, in my opinion, much better than using tomato paste that you can buy in the supermarket, because here we control what we put in our pot. So now that I have all tomatoes cut, what I need to do is to add them into the pot. So let's do that. What we want to do is to stir this mix until the tomatoes are completely broken down and everything is rightly cooked. And then we have the tomato sauce. So that means that this process is not only going to cook the tomato, but it will also liquefy the whole mix, which is what we want to cook our fish. And just as a heads up, before we even start cooking the fish, we also need to cook the potatoes. I'm going to set this to high heat now, and I will try to stir it at the same time that I'm preparing the potatoes. Let's prepare the potatoes. So now we have about 5 potatoes. Think of it this way. I've put 4 onions in the pan and I have now 5 potatoes. It's about that range, 1 to 1 or a bit more in this case, but it doesn't really matter. We don't need too many potatoes. We just need that the ratio between potatoes and onions to be almost the same. So one thing that is very important is that we need to keep stirring. And I see already that the tomato is starting to liquefy. And let me show you now how this is going. See, the tomatoes are now cooking with the onions and the garlic, and we now just have to keep on stirring it and breaking up the tomato as we go along, because we want this mix to be completely liquefied so that we can use it to cook our fish. See, coming nice. And we have to make sure that we keep on stirring, because this is now on high heat. And at some point we need to turn it a bit down, and that's what we're going to do right now. So now it's on 7, I'm going to put it on 5 and keep on stirring. And remember, we have here our potatoes, 5 potatoes that we are now going to dice into small pieces. Dicing potatoes is very easy, so I will just do that. So now we are ready to put our potatoes in the pot. And as we do this, we must not forget to add the white wine. You can use any white wine you prefer. The quantity is how much you prefer, It is here to give a taste and to give a bit of texture. This is a glass of water. We can add a full glass of water of white wine to the mix. I've just set it up to 7. We can't stir the pot very much. Actually, we need to minimize that when we add the fish. Because the problem is when we stir the fish, we will also break it down. Because the fish, when it gets cooked, it starts to break down a bit and it gets more fragile. I had this experience once, and what happened is that everybody loved the caldeirada, but they actually had, instead of having the full fish, the whole fish, they actually had pieces of fish, which was also tasty, but not exactly what we want for a consistency of the caldeirada. Okay, so I already smell the wine coming in, and I already see that the potatoes are cooking. Now, how do we check if the potatoes are cooked? Well, the normal way to do it is to pick up a fork and then pinch the potatoes. They are not ready yet. When they are ready, the fork will be able to go in the potato very easily. As we can see, the tomato is cooking very fast. The potatoes are cooking also very fast. So we can check now if the potatoes are correctly ready, and they are not. They're not yet. But what we can already start doing is to prepare the fish. So here we have some codfish, some shrimps, salmon. So now what we need to do is to cut the fish in small cubes so that we can add them to the pot. So now I can see that the pot has the tomato sauce in good condition. I've also checked that the potatoes are okay, so I can pinch them with a fork. So now it's time to add the fish. The most satisfactory moment of the recipe, because now we're actually going to let everything cook. But there is still one more step that we need to do, and that is to add the coriander. And by the way, this one is frozen, but when we put the shrimps in the pan, it's going to melt very quickly. So it's not a problem if you put it frozen in the pan. What we need to do is to make sure that everything is soaked in the tomato sauce. So let's check how that is done. So here the fish is cooking, but as you can see, it's still not covered with tomato sauce. So what we do is the only moment of the recipe that we can stir things a bit. Nothing is cooked yet, so everything is still holding on together very nicely. We need to make sure that we slowly add everything into the sauce. As you can see, the shrimp is already melting and everything is now sinking into the tomato sauce, which is essentially now the caldeirada. As you can see, it has the color, the texture, and the feel of what caldeirada actually is. So now we can add some coriander, which is what we'll do. So on this last bit, we're going to add the coriander, and essentially we have a lot of it here. We just take a chunk of it. This is just for flavor, something like this. And what we do is with our own hands, we just take it like this to pieces, and we're not going to stir anything now because the fish is already cooking. Now what we do, we'll put the lid on it and wait for 20 minutes until this is done. And then we get our caldeirada complete. There, 20 minutes. Alright, so now we are midway through cooking. We can now add our choice of salt or pepper or both of them. Let's do that. So I like a lot of pepper and not too much salt. I usually do like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 turns of pepper. And for salt, I usually just do this. That's it. So now it's cooking. Now we only need to wait 5 more minutes, and that will complete our 20-minute wait time for our caldeirada to be cooked. Alright, 20 minutes have gone by, and apparently we have the caldeirada ready. I will now turn off the oven, and I will show you what we have in the pot. Look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? To me, it looks amazing. So we're going to serve on this board so that you can see exactly how caldeirada looks like when... Alright everyone, we're almost there. I will now just pick my favorite serving spoon. Let's do it. Something like this. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And I know you can't see it. Let me turn the camera down so that you can see it. So this is how it looks like. But to make the finishing touches, and before we even dare to take a bite, I will add some more coriander, but at this time just for a decorative effect. And there you go. This is one dish for one person only. There's more in the pan, and what we have done will probably serve two more people. Now, this has to be amazing. I will take a bite and tell you my honest opinion about how it actually tastes like. And I will try not to be biased. I'm going to taste the shrimp. Oh, and it is amazing. Let me try the potatoes. This is exactly how caldeirada is supposed to taste like. Now, some of you will argue that I should have used the tomato paste. I personally don't enjoy much the tomato paste, and I do not see it as an essential ingredient of caldeirada. Caldeirada for me has as essential ingredients the white wine, the tomato, onions and garlic, and then the fish, of course. And it's something that if you want to make it yourself, you're going to go through a lot of work. And the only alternative you have is to buy it already pre-made in the supermarket. So to me, it seems more natural to make my own tomato sauce. It's not tomato paste, but it tastes really good. Alright everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, please leave a comment, subscribe, and don't forget to check the description for further details. And until the next video, keep it graceful and stay sharp. Thank you for watching! As a short disclaimer, I'd like to mention that I'm not associated or affiliated with any of the brands eventually shown, displayed, or mentioned in this video.